rapture, animate, lifting souls off the ground. Was it real, was it just? Leaning in the haze, dreaming wild escapades, lost in smoky craze. Maggie's takeover electrified the scene. Naked in the bushes, or just a funky dream. Rapture in the air, moderators beat damned. Maggie center stage commands high demand. Techno fails and whispers, virtual distress. Everybody naked, feeling overdressed. Leanie snaps awake, cigarette half spent. Maggie's takeover, a fantastical event. Channel run amok, viewer shedding clothes. Digital rapture in the twilight it glows. Was it real, was it just? Leanie in the haze, dreaming wild escapades, lost in smoky craze. Maggie's takeover electrified the scene. Naked in the bushes, or just a funky dream. Rapture in the air, moderators be damned. Maggie center stage commands high demand. Techno fails and whispers, virtual distress. Everybody naked, feeling overdressed. Leanie snaps awake, cigarette half spent. Maggie's takeover, a fantastical event. Channel run amok, viewer shedding clothes. Digital rapture in the twilight it glows. Was it real, was it just? Leanie in the haze, dreaming wild escapades, lost in smoky craze. Maggie's takeover electrified the scene. Naked in the bushes, or just a funky dream.
Lost but not alone. Leanie gives them a place, a new island they call home. Under the tropical sun, stories begin to flow. Contestants old and brave find a new kind of glow. According to Leanie, she's got a plan. Rescue the fallen with a wave of her hand. According to Leanie, sun-kissed and free, a home for the broken, out on the sea. Cameras have gone away, but new lights start to shine. In her presence they stay, in this new life they find. According to Leanie, she's got a plan. Rescue the fallen with a wave of her hand. According to Leanie, sun-kissed and free, a home for the broken, out on the sea. Cameras have gone away, but new lights start to shine. In her presence they stay, in this new life they find. According to Leanie, she's got a plan. Rescue the fallen with a wave of her hand. According to Leanie, sun-kissed and free, a home for the broken, out on the sea. No one picture here, just love and care. Fertile islands come, but your heart finds its way.
Oh my God, listen. I've just been talking, saying hello to everyone and asking you all questions, and I'm wondering why no one's answering me. So, I've got new buds in. Not new, they're just different than the ones I used last night. So, can you tell me if you can hear me better, hear me lower or whatever, and I can go and adjust them? Or if they're alright, just give us a thumbs up. Thanks again for coming in, Lizzo, Pink, our Lunchy. And now we've got Rachel, not that Rachel, but it's Rachel Oates. Hi, Rach. Good to see you, girl. And we've got Ewan in as well, our matchmaker. Hello, Ewan. Hope you're okay, love. Talking about the little Madeleine McCann case. This is an old book, Ewan. And you, Rachel, as well. Don't know whether you're staying, but I understand if you're not, because it's not everyone's cup of tea, is it, if someone's reading? So I'm crackling a bit. Oh no. So if I'm crackling, what I can do is take these ones out, but the ones... No, tell me if this is any better. Hold on. Hold on, guys. Okay, so I've got no buds in, and I'm just talking into the phone. Is that any better, or is it worse? Because if it's worse, I'm going to have to go upstairs and get the headsets. But I think that sounds awful as well. So how does it sound now? I was perfect last night. I thought it was awful. So do you prefer the ones from last night, the sound from last night, or is this okay? Let me know. So this, you'd rather have me without the buds and just stay like this? Hiya, Irish Jessie. Good to see you, love. Oh, I've got a slight cackle still. Oh my God, I've got nothing in. I'm only using the phone. I wonder if it's because I've got all kinds open in the background. Hold on a minute, because that's what Alex said. Hold on. Right, so I've closed down the things that I had open in the background. Is that any better at all? What's that? According to Lynn Maggie, I'm in the bone cracker. What's that mean? Last week, 3 times a week, yeah. Oh, Lunchy. I'm lost. You're going to have to tell me, girl, what you mean. Anyway, let me get this book. So I'm okay. Everyone can hear me all right. You don't need to hire. You don't need me to hire the volume or anything. It's okay. Ooh, chiropractor. Okay, I'll leave it like that then, Pink. Or I can put the buds in from last night. I thought I was pretty loud on them. I thought it was awful, but they're right here at the side of me. If you think I'm better on them than like this. What are you looking at, Jess? It's nothing for you. Nothing for you. So if I put that there on my shoulder, right, now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to check if he's still there because I can't even see him. Do you know what? I'm just going to put the buds in because I can't see the screen. If it goes off, then I'm knackered, aren't I? So hold on. Oh God, let me get these in. Jess, see, I had a piece of paper to save me space in the book, and when I got it out there, Jess thought she was getting it. I can't say it because she knows every word to say. Thought she was getting something. Jessie's shitting through the eye of a needle, so she's not getting anything. Hang on, let me change the settings now. Oh, just so I can work out if these are working. If you get me, bear with me. Sorry about this, everyone. Sorry.
Leanie leans back, puffing slow in the sunspots glow. Mad mods in the comments, jokers throw a cyber blow. Subscribers flipping birds.
Okay, should be okay now. I think I'm dead loud on these. Do you think I should lower it? Hold on a minute. That's all I keep saying, God help you. Right, I've left it to that, and I hope it's okay. Right, here we go. Oops. Oh my God, it'll be alright on the night. You ever seen that programme? Every night you goes wrong. Sounds good, isn't loud. Brilliant. Okay. Friday, the 4th of May. Our first day without Madeline. As soon as it was light, Jerry and I resumed our search. We went up and down roads we'd never even seen before. Having barely left the Ocean Club complex all week, we jumped over walls and raked through undergrowth. We looked in ditches and holes. All was quiet, apart from the sound of barking dogs, which added to the eeriness of the atmosphere. I remember opening a big dumpers type bin and saying to myself, "Oh, please God, don't let it be in here." The most striking and horrific thing all this all this was that we were completely alone. Nobody else, it seemed, was out looking for Madeline. Just us, her parents. We must have been out for at least an hour before returning to David and Fiona's apartment, where Sean and Emily were. The kids were now up and about, the twins distracted by having Lily and Scarlett to play with. Didn't mention Madeline. Mercifully, Russell, Jane, Matt, Rachel and their children began to arrive. People kept telling me to have some breakfast, but I couldn't eat. I had no appetite and my throat was constricted with anxiety. In any case, how could I even think about eating? There wasn't time to eat. Someone had Madeline and we had to find her. That morning, I learned of the man Jane had seen in the street. Although Jerry and our friends had been trying to protect me from further distress by not telling me about this sooner than they did, I was strangely relieved. Sorry, guys. Madeline hadn't just disappeared off the face of the earth. There was something to work on. This man was around 35 to 40 years old, dark hair, of a southern European or Mediterranean appearance. His everyday clothes, beige or gold-coloured trousers, and a dark jacket, gave Jane the impression he was not a tourist. He was carrying the sleeping child horizontally across his arms. The child liked sandals, though there was no reason at that point to be at all suspicious. Clearly there was something odd enough about what she saw for her to register the image. While he had been dressed for the cold evening, the child was barefoot and not covered by a blanket. Although Jane had never seen or known about Madeline's Eeyore pyjamas, her description of the child's night clothes, light coloured pink or white pyjamas with a trailing or floral pattern and turn-ups at the bottom, matched Madeline's almost exactly. From the style of these pyjamas, she had also assumed the child was a girl. There was little doubt in my mind then, nor is there now, that what Jane saw was Madeline's abductor taking her away. But in spite of the fact that she'd reported this to the GNR and PJ straight away, it would be 25th of May before her description of the man and child was released to the press. I have never felt any anger or disappointment whatsoever towards Jane. On the contrary, I was grateful someone had seen something. I'm sure this experience has been a terrible burden for her to carry around with her every day since, and I do feel for her. There have been many occasions when I have visualised myself walking up that road instead of Jane. Would I have even noticed the man and child? Seeing that it was my daughter, would it have dawned on me out of the blue what was happening? If not, after going into the apartment and finding Madeline missing, would I instantly make the connection and been able to chase after him? I've even pictured myself catching up with him and grabbing him by the shoulder, saving Madeline. Around 8 a.m., I started to receive text messages and calls from friends back in the UK who were seeing and hearing the news bulletins. Messages like, please tell me it's not your Madeline. At about 9 o'clock, we all went on to the Rua de Gasto Selva to find out what was going on and to look out for the PJ. The PJ is the police, isn't it, guys? That's what it says. Seems crazy saying the PJ, so I could just say the police, couldn't I? Just in case. The GN patrol was still in evidence, although again there didn't seem to be much sense of urgency. So what had the police been doing? It was hard to tell. According to the police files, to what to which we did not have access till August 2008, two patrol dogs were brought to the Praia da Luz at 2 a.m. on the 4th of May, and four search and rescue dogs at 8 a.m. I don't remember seeing any police dogs until the morning, and if there were any specific police searches overnight, they were not apparent. The only searching I was aware of were those carried out by ourselves, fellow guests, and the Mark Warner staff. According to the files, the tracker dogs did not go out until 11 p.m. on the 4th of May. At some point in the first 24 hours, I could not say exactly when, but probably that morning. I recall one of the police patrol officers asking us for some of Madeline's clothes or belongings to enable the search dogs to identify her scent. I fetched the pink princess blanket she took to bed with her every night, which they took, and some of her clothes, which they didn't. Several people I recognised as other Mark Warner guests were milling around, and a few of the men offered to help. Steve Carpenter told us that he had approached John Hill, the resort manager, insisting that all the apartments occupied or not, and as it was low season, many were empty, should be opened up and searched. There had been no house-to-house inquiries at all, and there wouldn't be for some hours to come. To this day, I don't know that this task was ever completed. A lady from an apartment across the road, overlooking our little side gate, came over to speak to us. She said the previous night she'd seen a car going up the side street, the black volcanic cliff that dominates the village. There was a track leading to the Roche Negra, but nobody remembered ever noticing anybody's vehicle that far up in the daytime, let alone at night. This immediately conjured visions of Madeline being disposed of somewhere on the overhanging cliff. I went to tell one of the police officers who was able to speak a little English. He was quite dismissive. It would have been one of the policemen checking the area, he said. The text and phone calls kept coming. By this time, our friend John Corner, a creative director in media production in Liverpool, was circulating photographs and video footage of Madeline to the police, Interpol, and broadcasting in newspaper news desks. This was in accordance with the standard advice of the National Centre for Missing and Exploited Children in the US, which advocates getting an image of the missing child into the public domain as soon as possible. A colleague from the surgery in Melton Mowbray suggested enlisting the help of a private investigator and offered to look into the possibility. I was bemused. Back then, I thought of private investigators, if I thought of them at all, as lone mavericks like Jim Rockford in the Rockford Files, and at that stage I honestly didn't know what we needed, though it certainly felt like more than we had. Had I known what I know now, perhaps I would have taken their advice. A forensic team also arrived from Lisbon that Friday. Having moved out to apartment 5A, we weren't aware of exactly when, but presumably it was sometime in the morning. All we saw of them were TV images of a woman in street clothes dusting the shutters outside the children's room. Her shoulder-length hair was blowing free, and I seem to recall that in some shots she wasn't wearing any gloves either. Not having slept for some 26 hours, I was starting to feel quite jaded, but my mind was teeming with horrific images. A middle-aged British lady suddenly materialised beside me and introduced herself. She announced that she was or had been a social worker or child protection officer and insisted on showing me her professional papers, including, I think, her criminal records bureau certificate. She asked me to sit down on a low wall, plonked herself next to me, and told me she wanted me to go over everything that had happened that previous night. She was quite pushy, and her manner, very, very present, were making me feel uncomfortable and adding to my distress. David was standing nearby, concerned. He took me aside and pointed out that we didn't know who this woman was or what she was doing here. He reassured me that I wasn't obliged to speak to her if I didn't want to, and I didn't want to. Whoever she was and whatever her credentials were, it was an inappropriate intrusion, and something about her just didn't feel right. I was glad actually I exited myself away from this woman, and she would pop up several times in the day and months to come, and I still don't really know who or what she is or what she was trying to achieve. Steve Carpenter returned the old man who was office assistant. He told Steve, bilingual in English and Portuguese and could maybe assist with interpreting. I was grateful for any help like that we could get. This man was in his 30s, wore glasses, and there was something unusual about one of his eyes. A squint I thought at the time. I have since been told that he is blind in one eye. He seemed very personable and was happy to be of service. When one of the police officers came over to request more details about Madeline and any distinguishing features she had, this man stepped in to translate. I was holding a photograph of Madeline, which he asked to see. As he studied it, he told me about his daughter back in England, who was the same age, and who, he said, just looked like Madeline. I was a little irked by this. In the circumstances, it seemed rather tactless. Even if he was simply trying to empathise, I didn't think his daughter could possibly be as beautiful as my Madeline. Though, of course, as her mum, I didn't think little girl could be as beautiful as Madeline. When he finished translating, he turned to me to walk away briskly. Oh, hang on a minute, guys. There's a lot of crap. Oh, God. I don't know what it is. I just have to put that on charge. Oh, this isn't a good thing, this, is it? Why on earth is it crackling? I'm having so many problems using headset 2. I just don't understand it. Is it really bad, guys? So just take them out. Was there less crackling? It's getting bad. Okay. Okay. Give me a minute, sorry.
Saying, girl, don't you know? Breaks ain't welcome here. Content should forever flow. She rolls her eyes, says y'all ain't got a clue. She'll load on, drag deep like barbecue. And Team Maggie swoops in, cape and a lasso. Gotta laugh cause she's saving, leaning from this asshole. Cigarette leanie, rapture ain't here yet. Internet wild, but she ain't breaking a sweat. Breaks on demand, while the world throws a fit. Ain't Maggie swoops down, y'all gotta quit. Night shift grinding, mods don't ever sleep. Subscribers wanting more, hunger running deep. Lady cracking, but she holds that smoke. Maggie pacing, ain't about to choke. Keyboard warriors locked in a showdown. Maggie standing firm, ain't gon' bow down. Leany one dragging, the hate ain't profound. She's jiving on while the rapture ain't inbound. Cigarette leanie, rapture ain't here yet. Internet wild, but she ain't breaking a sweat. Bricks on demand, while the world throws a fit. Ain't Maggie swoops down, y'all gotta quit. Keyboard warriors locked in a showdown. Maggie standing firm, ain't gon' bow down. Leaning one dragging, the hate ain't profound. She's jiving on while the rapture ain't inbound. Cigarette leanie, rapture ain't here yet. Internet wild, but she ain't breaking a sweat. Breaks on demand, while the world throws a fit. Ain't Maggie swoops down, y'all gotta quit. Cigarette and Laney, rapture ain't here yet. Internet wild, but she ain't breaking a sweat. Breaks on demand, while the world throws a fit. Hey, Maggie swoops down, y'all gotta quit. Leany leans back, puffing slow and the sunspots glow. Mad mods in the comments, jokers throw a cyber blow. Subscribers flipping birds, saying, girl, don't you know? Breaks ain't welcome here, content should forever flow. She rolls her eyes, says y'all ain't got a clue. She'll load on, drag deep like barbecue. And Team Maggie swoops in, cape and a lasso. Gotta laugh cause she's saving, leaning from this asshole. Cigarette leanie, rapture ain't here yet. Internet wild, but she ain't breaking a sweat. Breaks on demand, while the world throws a fit. Ain't Maggie swoops down, y'all gotta quit. Night shift grinding, mods don't ever sleep. Subscribers wanting more, hunger running deep. Lady cracking, but she holds that smoke. Maggie facing ain't about to choke. Keyboard warriors locked in a showdown. Maggie standing firm, ain't gon' bow down. Lean you on dragon, the hate ain't profound. She's jiving on while the rapture ain't it found. Cigarette leany, rapture ain't here yet. Internet wild, but she ain't breaking a sweat. Bricks on the max, while the world throws a fit. Hey, Maggie swoops down, y'all.
Oh God, can you hear me okay? Do you know what? Why does something always go wrong for me? I just don't know what it is. I put the headset on, and when I've listened back, it sounds dead crackly. Every headset I get sounds crackly, and Alex Edmonds is what I've got open in the background. But the things I've got opened is because I'm always doing pictures and stuff, and I need something open for this, something open for that, something open for the other. So I use them all the time, and I don't remember the names of them to just go and get them when I need them. So I just have them open in the back, but actually that can't. But maybe it is, because it's every time I use a headset. Oh, you even said, didn't you, that you can hear me crackling now without an headset in? Oh, I give up. It's either neither here or there, Lizzo. It doesn't matter if I've got them in or not. It doesn't bother me. It's just that I'm trying to get the best audio for use, because I couldn't listen to someone reading something if the audio was crap. I couldn't cope with it. So, how far back would you say I need to go for me to read again, with the audio being crap, so you know where you're up to? So do we need to go back at all? I'm just wondering, you see, if you've missed anything. Hello, can you hear me? Oh God, what's happening? Okay, Pink, so do I need to go back to any part of the book? How far back I need to go? Because if it was crackling a lot, did you hear where you're up to? It's when she was talking to that fella who said he'd do the translating. He had the glasses on, I forget what his name is now. That's where I was up to anyway. So if you want me to carry on from there, sound. If not, just let me know where it become too much that you couldn't make out what I was saying, love. Jessie, you're up and down like a fiddler's elbow. Where are you going now? Come here. Come on. Oh well, don't then. Okay, alright then, Pink, I'll get back to it now. I'll leave you there, and hopefully, please God, you can hear me. Okay. Let's see. Let me try and get you there. So if I get you there, I can still see sort of if it goes off. Do you get me? Right, okay. Alright, Liz, don't worry, God, we're all having problems tonight. Okay, so when he had finished in translating, he turned and began to walk away briskly. Realizing I didn't even know his name, I caught up with him and I asked him, Robert, he said. Thank you, Robert, I said. It was about 10 a.m. by the time. A couple of police officers turned up. One of them was 30s, tall and well built. I thought, I thought of for ages. I thought of for ages simply as John. Oh, okay. I couldn't make that out then as I was reading that. So she thought of this police fella as John. I'm not sure he never gave us his name, but later, much later, we found out that it was, oh my God, J.O. de Carlos. They told us they had to take us and our friends to the police station in Portimao. We couldn't all go at once, as somebody needed to look after the children. After some discussion, it was agreed that Jerry and I, Jane, David, and Matt would be interviewed first, and the police would come back with the others later in the day. Fiona and Diane took Sean and Amali to their club along with the other children. While our world was falling apart, the best way of trying to keep theirs together seemed to be stick with what they knew, what they were used to. Jerry and I travelled in one police car, the others following along in a secondary vehicle. It was an awful journey. It took 25 minutes, but it felt much longer. On the way, I rang a colleague, another lady of strong faith. She prayed over the phone for most of the trip, while I listened and wept on the other end. I will forever be in debt for her help and support at that agonising time. Our first impression of the police station was not encouraging. Basic and shabby, it didn't seem conducive to efficiency and order. We were shown to a small waiting area, separated from the control room, where calls and faxes came in, only by windows and a glass door, which was left ajar. In the control room, officers in jeans and t-shirts smoked and engaged in what sounded more like light-hearted banter than serious discussion. I know as well as anybody that one shouldn't judge people, or perhaps places either, on appearances, but it all made me immensely nervous. I was appalled by the treatment we received at the police station that day. Officers walked past us as if we weren't there. Nobody asked how we were doing, whether we were okay, or needed anything to eat or drink, or to use the bathroom. Our child had been stolen, and I felt as if I didn't exist. I tried to rationalise it since. Maybe they just couldn't imagine how it felt to be a parent in such circumstances, or maybe they couldn't speak English, and it seemed better or easier to simply avoid us. Whatever the case, it was a horribly isolating experience. At some point that morning, we became aware that friends and family were appearing on television, expressing our concern about the lack of police activity overnight. I think I registered Tricia and a good friend in Glasgow, popping up on the TV in an apartment. Jerry had a memory of seeing some familiar faces on the set. We were quite surprised that people were giving interviews, but it was understandable. After all, we'd been on the phone half the night to our friends and relatives, sobbing that nothing was being done and begging for their help, and we approached a swift response. We were just worried that any criticism of the police might do us no favours, but more to the point, Madeline. We were grateful for the support of the British consul for the Algarve, Bill Henderson, and the pro-consul, Angela Morado, who met us at the police station. Although there was little anyone could say or do to ease our pain, they were both warm and extremely sympathetic. I especially appreciate Angela's reassuring presence. She was roughly the same age as me, a mother herself, and most importantly strong, and I felt those common factors would help her to understand a little of what I was going through. And at one point, the British ambassador John Buck came down from Lisbon to see us. He was pleasant and obviously concerned. I recall Bill Henderson telling me there had been several recent cases of men getting into bed with children. Oh, God, hang on, guys. Oh, is it page 6 now? Getting into bed with children with no abductions. I'm not sure why this didn't ring a million alarm bells or sicken me to the core. As it was, it remained locked away in the dungeons of my mind for many months. At the time, my brain simply couldn't connect such cases with Madeline's disappearance. These were abuse victims, and as awful as the serious crimes as they were, Madeline's situation was much worse. Our child had been stolen, we didn't know where or how she was. After an hour or so, Jerry, Matt and Jane were taken off for questioning. I remember constantly looking at the clock, counting the hours since we'd last seen Madeline. My terror mounting with every 5 minutes that passed. My body as well as my mind appeared to have locked down. Bill and Angela went out for food and water for us, but I had no interest in eating. Jerry told us afterwards that we'd asked about deploying helicopters and heat detecting equipment in the stage. The police officer interviewing him had replied, "This is not the UK. There were no helicopters and no infrared cameras," he was told. Jerry was also insisting that they speak to Jez Wilkins in case he had seen the man and child reported by Jane. In fact, we found out later an officer with the translator Robert Murat, the man who had interpreted for me that morning, visited Jess and his partner Bridget O'Donnell, in their apartment sometime the same afternoon. In a newspaper article by Bridget published several months down the line, she describes how the officer wrote down their answers to his questions on a loose piece of paper rather than in a notebook. Of greater concern was his reaction to a photocopied picture of a little girl he noticed lying on the table. He asked them if she was their daughter. Bridget explained that this was Madeline, the little girl they were supposed to be looking for. My heart sank for the McCann, she remembered. Back at the police station in Port Mayo, it was gone 2 o'clock. And before I was interviewed by J.S. Carlo led me up the stairs and I inquired whether he had any children. He told me he hadn't, but don't worry, we'll find your daughter. It was exactly what I was yearning to hear. I was taken into a large room containing several desks. Jerry had asked Shay Carlos if we could be allowed to stay with me while I was questioned because he was extremely worried about my psychological state. I was grateful he agreed, with the proviso that Jerry remained seated behind me. I appreciate now that this would not be acceptable practice in most police investigations. J.O. Carlos interviewed me, assisted by a young female interpreter. He put his questions in Portuguese, and the interpreter relayed them to me in English, and then she translated my answers into Portuguese. The interview was neither videoed nor audio taped. Instead, Joyce Carlos tapped my answers as given to him in Portuguese by the interpreter into a computer. As you can imagine, it was an incredibly laborious process. My eyes were still continually drawn towards the clock or my watch, and as minutes and then hours ticked by, my body became more and more tense. The officer began with how we came in to be in Portugal, and then concentrated on the point at which I discovered Madeline was missing. When he asked me if it was the first time I had been to Portugal, I said yes, never again. The interpreter turned to me and said, "Mrs. McCann, this could have happened anywhere." She was right, of course, and I was a bit ashamed of that remark. But in the circumstances, it was hardly surprising that I felt that way at that moment. As I encountered how I found Madeline's bedclothes neatly folded back, my voice faltered. Every now and then, Jerry would put a hand on my shoulder or give me a reassuring squeeze. The interview lasted 4 long hours. Afterwards, we met the director of the Algarve Police Judicaria based in Faro, who was overseeing the investigation. He told us that somebody would be in touch with us later that night with an update and gave us a telephone number to call if we had any questions. I'm fairly certain that this was the number of an officer in the Portimao called Tavares de Almeida. In addition, he said Portimao would be able to get hold of him via his mobile at any time if we needed to speak to him. Meanwhile, Fiona, Russell, Rachel and Diane had been brought to the police station for their interviews, which stretched from late afternoon into the evening. It was 7:30 by the time one of the police officers drove us away from the police station. Angela Morado came with us. 10 or 15 minutes into our journey, the police officer had a call from his station. He said something to Angela, who explained that he'd been ordered to return us to the police station straight away. He wasn't allowed to tell us why. Already driving at quite a very scary speed, he suddenly swung the car into a U-turn, floored the accelerator and drove us at a life-threatening 120 miles an hour plus back towards Portimao. I cannot overstate how terrifying this was. Had Madeline been found? Oh, please God, was she alive? Was she dead? Jerry and I clung on to each other for dear life. I was crying hysterically and praying for all it was worth. Back at the police station, we endured at least another 10 minutes of torture in the waiting area before somebody showed us a photograph, clearly taken from a CCTV, of a blonde child with a woman in a petrol station shop. We weren't told anything about this, just asked whether the girl was Madeline. She wasn't. And that was that. Again, we were sent on our way, utterly devastated. We were completely unprepared for what we found when we drove back into Praia da Luz sometime after 8:30 p.m. The road outside our apartment block was lined with what seemed like hundreds of press and TV crews, 5 or 6 deep all the way. Although he didn't say anything to me then, as soon as he saw all this, Jerry knew it was likely to lead to a terrible invasion of our privacy at the most difficult time of our lives. We'd never been exposed to the glare of the media ourselves, but we were aware to some extent from what had happened to other people how intrusive the press, and in particular the tabloid newspapers, could be. No such implications registered with me at that stage. I wasn't able to think about anything for a second at a time. We stepped out of the police car in mid-Clifton, wearing cameras and dazzling lights, to suddenly become the focus of such attention, fiercely acute and yet at the same time disconnected, impersonal, as if we were some rare species in a zoo, was bewildering, and it certainly increased my already rocketing stress levels. But in some ways, this was just another bizarre scene in a bad dream from which I couldn't seem to wake myself up. Upstairs, our new apartment, 4G, was heaving with people. Among them was my mum, my dad, my auntie Nora, who had arrived from the UK. Nora, on a visit from Canada, had been booked to return today, but had immediately cancelled her flight home and had come with my parents to support us. As we embraced them one by one, we found ourselves unable to let go. We were sobbing. It was so hard seeing each other like this. It was all such a blur. I can't be absolutely certain who else was there that night, but I think I remember John Hill, Emma Knights and Craig Mayo from the Mark Warner, and Ambassador John Buck, British Consul, Bill Henderson and Angela Morado, who had accompanied us back from Port Mayo. There were some new faces too. Liz Dow, the British Consul for Lisbon, British Embassy Press Officer Andy Bowes and Alpha Wolfall, a PR crisis manager specialist from Bell Pottinger in the UK, who had been drafted in by Mark Warner, and as a trauma psychologist in the Centre for Crisis Psychology in North Yorkshire, who had now also arrived in Lou. Mark Warner had arranged for the Ocean Club staff to bring us food up to the apartment, but I still couldn't manage anything. All I wanted at that moment was to see Sean and Amali. Emma had been looking after them and had not long put them into their cots. But I went in to see them anyway. My need to be with them overweighed any concerns about disrupting the sleep. For the first time, I noticed the ugly purple, blue and black roses on the sides of my hands, wrists and forearms. I was shocked. Jerry reminded me of how I'd been banging my clenched fists on the veranda railings of the apartment walls the night before. I could only vaguely remember it. Is this okay? Can you hear me okay, Pink? Can you hear me, girls? Can you hear me? Brilliant, okay. Just having a little swig. In spite of his misgivings about the media, Jerry decided that he wanted to make a statement to them. He knew we had to try and reach out to anyone who might be able to help us with something or know something. My stomach knotted as the mere thought of it. I've never been one for speaking in front of an audience, and I certainly couldn't imagine doing so now, when our daughter had been abducted. Jerry told the people assembled in the apartment what he was intending to do. Nobody objected or advised him against it, but then there was no one taking overall control of the situation other than Alex Woolfall, whose primary role was to act for Mark Warner. So Jerry sat down and drafted a statement on a piece of scrap paper. It took him only a few minutes. I accompanied him downstairs. As we left, I grabbed Madeline's cuddle cat. Keeping her beloved toy close was the nearest I could get to her. I was very troubled that she didn't have her cuddle cat with her. Just being able to hold something familiar might have given her a crumb of comfort. It was 10 p.m. It was dark, and I found the huge crowd in indecent flashbulbs increasingly intimidating. I was only grateful that at least Jerry was used to public speaking, and I wouldn't have to say anything, though it wasn't easy for him either. This was hardly the same as addressing a conference, and he was completely traumatized. His voice cracked with emotion as he read out statements by torchlight. We request that anyone who may have any information relating to Madeline's disappearance, no matter how trivial, contact the Portuguese police and help us to get her back safely. Please, if you have Madeline, let her come home to her mummy, daddy, brother and sister. As everyone can understand how distressing the current situation is, we ask that our privacy is respected to allow us to continue assisting the police in their current investigation. Please God, this appeal would reach somebody who knew something. I'm not entirely sure how Jerry managed to deliver a statement on that very first day, or exactly what made him feel that he must. Obviously, he believed that begging the abductor to give Madeline back and urging anyone who might have seen or known anything to come forward could only help. He was also aware that in the UK, it would probably be expected of parents in our situation to make some kind of statement or appeal, though that was not, as we would learn, the case in Portugal. Later that evening, we were visited by the Anglican minister and his wife, who were temporarily serving the Church of England community in the Louvre until the arrival of the weekend of a new minister from Canada. As the Catholic priest was away on a retreat, they had come to offer their support to Jerry, me and our family, who were greatly appreciated. They said some prayers with us, and I remember the minister reading out the passage in St. Mark's Gospel which begins, "Suffer little children to come unto me, and forbid them not, for of such is the kingdom of God," which took me back to my own childhood. By midnight, we had no more word from the police about what, if anything, was happening. More than 24 hours had elapsed since Madeline had been snatched. The pain, dread, and sense of powerlessness was tearing me apart. I rang the telephone number given to me and got through to the police at Port Mayo. Although it wasn't at all clear whom I was actually speaking to, I tried to convey just how traumatic the lack of communication was, but I didn't seem to be getting anywhere. I explained that Dr. Encarnacio had invited us to call at any time if we had any concerns and asked to be put through to him. I was told it wasn't possible. All I was told was that everything that can be done is being done. It was a line where we was to hear many times in the next 24 hours. How hollow it seems now. Jerry took the phone to see if we would fare any better. He didn't. The frustration and anger were reaching boiling point. I felt like a caged, demented animal. This was without doubt torture of the cruelest kind. Finally, I erupted. I began to scream, swear, and lash out. I kicked an extra bed that had been brought into the apartment and smashed the end right off. Then came the inevitable tears. Prostrate on the floor, sobbing like a baby, I felt utterly defeated and broken. After making several calls seeking help from Liz Dow, around 2 in the morning, we both went to lie down for a while. I had not slept in over 42 hours. I was completely exhausted and my whole body was racked with pain, but I was unable to lie quietly. I felt very, very cold and restless. My limbs ripped and jerked continually, as if I was compelled to keep moving, but then to shake off the agony that held me in its grip. This restlessness was something I was going to get used to in the months to come. Still in the dark as to what was being done to help find our daughter, if anything was being done to find her, Jerry and I prayed together and eventually drifted off into a brief sleep. At the police station the first afternoon, Guillermo Encarnacio had briefly mentioned 3 potential explanations for Madeline's disappearance: a burglary that had changed direction, abduction, and the possibility that she wandered off by herself. In the coming months, we would learn that burglaries were rife on the stretch of the Algarve coast in Praia da Luz. Burglars were like mice, according to one resident, and although it's difficult to imagine how a burglary could escalate into an abduction, we now know that this is not unheard of. However, I have always found the third suggestion insulting to our intelligence. Frankly, obviously the police are obliged to consider all possible scenarios, but there was no doubt in our minds that Madeline had not left the apartment on her own accord. For a start, there was Jane's sighting of what was, in all, a likelihood Madeline being carried off. Even if you set that aside, there was no way a 3-year-old would have been able to raise the shutters and open the window in the children's room. To give any credence whatsoever to the idea that Madeline would have walked out on her own, you would have to accept that she had gone out the back, pulling aside the sitting room curtains and drawing them again, then opening the patio door, the child safety gate at the top, and then the veranda, and then the little gate on the road, carefully closing all 3 behind her. What 3-year-old do you know who would do that? And we know our Madeline. She simply would not wander off like that. The theory was not only insulting, it was much importantly, frighteningly damaging to the chances of finding Madeline quickly. If the police were wasting precious time pursuing, if they were not going to be looking in the right places or taking the appropriate type of action. In the first few days, we were getting the impression that this was exactly what was happening. Certainly their initial searches were all geared to looking for a stray child who had become lost in or around Lou. We would later hear from the British police that it took until 10 a.m. on Friday, almost 12 hours after the alarm was raised, for roadblocks and checks to be put into place, and it would be 5 more days before Interpol circulated a yellow notice global alert to each of its members countries. We subsequently learned that less than 50 minutes after Jane's sighting, when I had still to discover that Madeline was missing, a family of 9 from Ireland had also seen a man carrying a child, this time on Rue de Escola Primaria, a few minutes' walk from the apartments 5A, heading towards Rue 25 Diabrel. Their description was remarkably similar to Jane's. The man was in his mid-30s, 1.75 to 1.8 metres tall, and of slim to normal build. These witnesses, too, said the person didn't look like a tourist. They couldn't quite put their finger on why, but again, they felt it might have been more because of what he was wearing. They also mentioned cream or beige trousers. The child, a little girl of about 4, with medium blonde hair, was lying with her head towards the man's left shoulder. She was wearing light-coloured pyjamas, had nothing on her feet, and there was no blanket over her. Although, like Jane, this family had taken this man and child for father and daughter, they commented that the man did not look comfortable carrying the child, as if he wasn't used to it. Well, why would they think it was a father then, if he didn't look like he was used to it? What's that, Maggie? Thanks. Oh, I made up. You know what? I just feel terrible on this sound. I really do. Anyway, Saturday the 5th of May was the day we should have been going home, as many other Mark Warner guests were doing so. The police would just all allow all of these people to leave the country without delaying any departures to interview potential witnesses, or even perhaps potential suspects. Our own friends remained at the Ocean Club. They took it as read that they ought to stay around to be available to the police, but in any case, I'm sure they wouldn't have dreamed of flying back to the UK without us in these awful circumstances. Jerry and I woke at 4 o'clock that morning, having slept for barely a couple of hours, still feeling wretched and utterly abandoned by the police in Port Mayo. Both verging on hysteria, we were incapable of comforting each other. It was clear we were struggling to keep our heads above water. Having been so late back from the police station the previous evening, we decided to wait until morning to meet the trauma psychologist Alan Pike. But by this time we realised that we needed help urgently. Just before 5 a.m, Jerry rang Craig Mayo, the Mark Warner overseas manager, and asked if Alan would be able to come and see us. He was at the door of our apartments by 6 a.m. Alan is a clinical partner of the Centre for Crisis Psychology Pioneers in Psychological Trauma Aftercare following disasters at home and abroad. They had worked with the families and survivors of the Bradford Fire, the sinking of the Herald of Free Enterprise, the World Trade Center terrorist attack, and the 2004 Susan Army, to name just a few. Alan himself, we would learn, had been involved in the aftermath of, among other horrors, coach crashes in Gran Canaria, Cuba and South Africa, 3 hurricanes and the terrorist bombing of Sharm el-Sheikh 2 years earlier. Alan must be used to seeing people in states of profound distress, and he certainly found 2 in apartment 4G at the Ocean Club. By this time, it was beginning to feel like there just wasn't any way up. He started by asking us about our home, our family, and our normal lives. He told us we seemed like model parents, and I cannot overstate how much such kind reassurance meant to us at that moment. We were both feeling so desperately guilty. Whatever we had or had not done, we were Madeline's parents, and in our own eyes we have failed to keep her safe. We struggle to bear with that sense of guilt, and we always will. Alan got us talking, encouraging us to try to think rationally about what we were saying, and we talked a lot for several hours. We faced our biggest fear, that Madeline had been taken by a paedophile and killed. This was the only scenario occupying your minds just then, our minds just then. Alan pointed out to us that these thoughts could no more be than speculation. We didn't know what had happened. We needed to avoid focusing on the negative and channel everything into looking forward. Madeline might walk through that door at any minute, he said. You need to be ready for that. He discussed with us the importance of taking control of things, little by little, starting with tiny actions as simple as making ourselves a cup of tea. The effect our conversation with Alan had on us that morning was truly amazing. To say it helped would be a gross understatement. Any scepticism we might have had before, how a psychologist could possibly benefit us personally, had long gone. Alan was and remains a saviour. My mum, dad and Auntie Nora were all staying in our apartment with us. Once they were awake and on the go, following Alan's advice about making tea for ourselves was easier said than done, as Auntie Nora had the kettle on endlessly. Poor Nora, she didn't know what else to do but supply tea for everyone. The Mark Warner staff opened up the toddler club. It was usually closed on a Saturday changeover day, so that Sean and Amalia, our friends' children, could be looked after and entertained. That was a huge help, not only in keeping their daily routine on an even keel, but also from a practical point of view. It turned out to be a bewildering busy day for Jerry and me, and given our fragility, we were far from being in the best state to take care of them. Neither Amelie nor Sean had yet mentioned Madeline, or at least not that we had heard. It was a relief in many ways, as I am really not sure how we would have handled any questions at that point. With their friends around them and their grandparents there, perhaps they didn't have much of a chance to fully register her absence. There were blessings that we counted that the terrible circumstances, but perhaps one was the fact that they were too young to be properly aware of what was happening. I think it was the next day before Sean first asked me, Where's Madeline, Mummy? Oh God, oh God. I answered him as calmly as I could, and my reply soon became our stock response to the question. We don't know, honey. She's missing, but we're all looking for her. In some ways, explaining the situation to the children in these simple terms may have helped us too. Madeline is missing, and we just have to find her. Put like that, it feels achievable. The twins would continue to go to toddler club in the mornings and on the odd afternoon too in those early days. While we wanted to keep life as normal as possible for them, we were all well aware, of course, that it wasn't normal, and neither could it be. Jerry and I saw much more less of them than would normally have been the case. When we did, we tried to make it up to them by giving them proper quality time with the lots of cuddles. For a while, we were in too much of a mess to cook their meals or even to bath them. Every minute of every day would be eaten up by anxiety about Madeline and our efforts to find her. Fortunately, Sean and Amalie were always surrounded by close family and friends they'd known all their lives who loved them dearly. Now there was a visible police presence in and around Praia da Luz, even if it seemed to consist largely of police officers marshalling the media. Later we were aware of searches being undertaken. I have a memory of television images of police on horseback riding across the rugged Portuguese countryside. All the same, we were reassured to see some UK police that day, in the shape of 3 family liaison officers from the Leicestershire force, who had also officially logged Madeline as missing. They came to introduce themselves and to outline their dual role, supporting us and our family and acting as a conduit for the following information between us and the police. After the trouble we'd had getting anyone in from the police to talk to us, that was a relief, although the FLOs would soon find themselves almost as frustrated as we were in this regard. The police in Judiciary of the country where a crime had been committed had primacy in any investigation. If interviews needed to be conducted or lines of inquiry followed in another country, they request such help under mutual legal assistance, treaties and protocols, and results are sent back to them. The Portuguese police were apparently reluctant early on to accept any help from their counterparts in the UK. However, in addition to the Leicestershire FLOs, they did permit forensic psychologists from the CEOP, the Child Exploitation and Online Protection Centre, and analysis from the National Policing Improvements Agency to come to Praia da Luz the following week. Even that may have been unprecedented. We understood this was the first time the Portuguese authorities had ever allowed any foreign force into the country to assist in an investigation. In such a situation, an element of pride is bound to come into play, and the relationship always seemed quite tricky. It never amounted to an effective pooling of information, ideas, or intelligence. It appeared that the British officers were told very little about what was going on, and that their role was essentially confined to making suggestions or volunteering resources. The local police, not used to disclosing the details of an investigation, were clearly wary of answering all the questions they were being asked. According to what we would hear a few weeks down the line, the Leicestershire officers were told in no uncertain terms that if the police declined any ideas they proposed or refused offers of additional expertise, they must accept this. If they didn't, they would be excluded from the investigation completely. Still, we were very grateful for their involvement, which would substantially improve communications. In the coming weeks, we would meet DCS Bob Small, who we found straight talking and honest. A lot of hard work went on at home as well, where DS Stuart Pryor, the senior investigating officer, was kind enough to show our relatives around the incident room, and Jerry too later on. As more TV and press turned up in lieu, Alex Wolfall gave us helpful pointers on handling the media. We came to rely on Alex as our de facto media liaison officer. It was he who guided us earlier on, giving us simple advice that had stood us in good stead since. He told us to ask ourselves the following two questions before giving anything to anyone in the press. What was our objective, and how was it going to help? We've always tried to remember those basic principles in all our interactions with the media. Alex explains that rather portfolio responses of the media pack, if we began to give daily statements, for example, they would expect one at the same time every day. Sometimes, he said, all they needed was to be fed something to keep them happy, and if that was the case, this might be our only objective in speaking to them. We learned very quickly that we had to take the utmost care with anything we said in public. Not only was it likely that the abductor would be listening, but we had to make sure that there was no suggestion of criticism of the police, while at the same time, as the days passed, maintaining the pressure on them to keep investigating. We had so many meetings that day and in the days to follow with people who were trying to help us, and that is hard to remember what was suggested, advised, discussed then. Neither Jerry nor I was functioning remotely properly. We were just surviving, somehow swept along by all this activity. At lunchtime, over by the tapas area, Jerry saw a crowd of departing guests waiting with their suitcases for the coach to take them to the airport. Amongst them was a guy with whom he had played tennis several times that week, accompanied by his wife and child. They still had another week of their holiday to go, but had decided to return home because, as he explained to Jerry, it was just too painful for them to stay any longer. Jerry felt sick. It was at this moment that it dawned on him just how many people would be leaving the resort that day without being interviewed. It would run into hundreds. How much potentially valuable information was going to be lost ever as a result? With the new batch of incoming holidaymakers, more of our relatives appeared. Jerry's mum Eileen and brother John and sister Tricia, with her husband Sandy, plus Michael, my cousin, and Marie's husband. Jerry had asked his younger sister Phil, to stay in Glasgow to be the focus in the UK for the family and inquiries from the media, who were already approaching friends, relatives, and more or less anyone who knew us, even if we'd only said hello in the street, for information and opinions. Mark Warner had put 2 more apartments at our disposal to accommodate everyone who wanted to be there, and it felt good to be wrapped up in this familiar blanket of support. Although inevitably the arrival of more family members unleashed a fresh wave of tears. It was particularly hard to bear the distress of our parents. Witnessing our mums being torn apart was absolutely heartbreaking, as was the sight of my dad, who suffers from Parkinson's disease, sobbing profusely, shaking violently in his condition, exhibited by the state of mind, and virtually collapsing to the couch beside me. "I'm so sorry I've let you down. I'm so sorry," he kept repeating. Of course he hadn't let me down. He just felt utterly helpless, just like the rest of us. The fact that our parents had to endure such an ordeal at this stage of their lives is a crime in itself. I remember slumping on one of the dining chairs in the apartment, looking out through the window over the sea. I had an overwhelming urge to swim out across the ocean as hard and as fast as I could, to swim and swim and swim until I was so far out and so exhausted I could just allow the water to pull me under and relieve me from this torment. I wasn't keeping the desire to myself either. I was shouting it out to anyone who happened to be in the room. Both this age and this expression of it were, I suppose, an outlet for the crucifying anguish. I also felt a compulsion to run to the top of the Rocha Negra. Somehow inflicting physical pain on myself seemed to be the only possible way of escaping my internal pain. The other truly awful manifestation of what I was feeling was a macabre slideshow of vivid pictures in my brain that taunted me relentlessly. I was crying out that I could see Madeline lying, cold, mottled on a big grey stone slab. Looking back, seeing me like this must have been terrible for my friends and relatives, and particularly my parents. But I couldn't help myself, and all this needed to come out. I dread to think what it might have done to me if it hadn't. As the sun set on another day, and still there was no news, Jerry gave a further statement to the waiting press. Again, I went outside and stood with him, my arm linked through his, but left him to read our message. There wasn't a great deal we could say. We thanked everyone in Portugal and in the UK. We said we were pleased that the FLOs were right now working with the Portuguese police, appealed for any information that might lead to Madeline's safe return, and thanked the media for respecting our privacy, especially Sean and Amali's. That evening, the local priest, Father Jose Manuel Pacheco, who had returned to Lou, came across to our apartment. He introduced himself and offered his support. My first impression was of a very cheery chap. Nothing wrong with that, but at this time his smiling seemed out of place in the grief-laden atmosphere of our apartment. The next day, the 6th of May, was Sunday, and despite my fragility, I was determined to go to Mass. The discovery that it was also Mother's Day in Portugal made it even more relevant and important. From the moment Madeline had gone, I had turned instinctively to God and to Mary, feeling a deep need to pray and to get as many other people as possible to pray to. I believed it would make a difference, although in the early days I struggled to comprehend what had happened to Madeline and to us. I've never believed it was God's fault or that He allowed it to happen. I was just confused that He had apparently not heeded the prayer I'd offered every night for my family. Thank you, God, for bringing Jerry, Madeline, Shaw, and Amali into my life. Please keep them all safe, healthy, and happy. Amen. Please keep them all safe. It must have said that I prayed for their safety. I've been thinking, please don't let them fall off something and bang their heads. Or please don't let them be involved in a car accident. I'd never considered anything as horrific as my child being stolen, but I had kind of assumed my prayer would cover every eventuality. Now, in spite of not knowing where Madeline was or who she was with, I tried to reassure myself that God will still keep her safe. We, all family and friends, went to Mass at the local church in the centre of the village. Given the state we were in, and with the waiting press primed to follow our every move, on this occasion we were taken down by car. Alex Wolfall, well aware that we were not going to be able to go anywhere without a huge media entourage and decided better accompany us too. I felt destined to everything around me. Nothing except Madeline seemed to matter anymore. I could see in an abstract way that the simple church painted yellow and white was beautiful. That first Sunday its beauty didn't reach my heart, but in the following weeks I would grow to love, and it would become a precious sanctuary for me. The little church was full that day, even though we were sitting at the front, when Father Jose, or Pedro Say, as he was known locally, appeared. It took us a while to work out which point the mass actually started. One of the local ladies got up and adjusted his robes, gave him a bit of a dust down, almost as if he was an untidy schoolboy. It was all quite different from Mass at home. I heard Michael comment, "This is pleasantly chaotic." There was something very human and loving about the lack of formality. His demeanour had seemed so at odds with our distress the previous evening. Was it his element here? He was in his element here. He was certainly a character full of life and passion. Recollections of Kenny Everett in the guise of his singing pastor, brotherly love, would have sprung to mind in the coming weeks. Everybody prayed for Madeline. A young Portuguese girl presented me with flowers, as did many of the mums in the congregation. At the end of the Mass, every mother and child came to the front of the church to hug and kiss us. She will be back, they told us. 3 words were whispered to us over and over again, and they have remained with us to this day. And it's the bottom words, 3 words. I'm not even going to try and say them. Well, I will. Esperança, Boca, Coragem. I haven't got a clue. To anyone who's Portuguese is probably going to be disgusted in me. Anyway, it means hope, strength, courage. It was incredibly emotional, but so lovely. We felt totally enfolded and buoyed up by the warmth and protection embrace of the Nossa Senhora de Luz and its congregation. Alex was keen for us to leave the church by the side door, where we could be escorted out quickly past the media and the gathering crowds, but we were so overcome by the warmth shown to us by these people that we didn't want to run away from them. Alex was to give us so much invaluable guidance, but on this occasion I think we were probably right to walk out at the main door. along with everybody else. At that moment, I suddenly felt I wanted to speak to everyone, to thank them for what they had done for us. And as we approached the few steps leading down into the street, that's exactly what I did. It's all a bit hazy now. It was then, for that matter. I know I was crying. The fact that I said anything at all, especially given my antipathy to speaking in public, is a measure of how important it felt for me to do so, and every word came from my heart. Jerry and I would just like to express our sincere gratitude and thanks to everybody, but particularly the local community here who have offered so much support. We couldn't have asked for more. I just want to say thank you. Please continue to pray for Madeline. She's lovely. Within a very short space of time, the local people would sweep Jerry and me under their wings and welcome us into their community. We will always be grateful to them for their extraordinary kindness and compassion. They will probably never know just how they bolstered us during those desperate early days. We continue to attend the Sunday Mass, and the empathy and support we found there never wavered. The words of solace and inspiration, the embraces, the prayers, the flowers, the pictures from the children kept coming week in and week out. Madeline was never forgotten, and neither were we. The following Friday, on the eve of Madeline's birthday, our youth vigil will be held at the church. Many people wore green, the colour of hope in Portugal, or carried olive branches. There were also plenty of yellow, the colour that has come to symbolise hope for the safe return of a loved one in the US and latterly in Britain. It was an amazingly uplifting experience. Towards the end of the service, we all took hold of two lengths of yarn, one yellow, one green, which bound us together as we sang, oh God, Nada nos separará. Nothing will separate us from God's love. Once again, it felt as if the whole congregation was underpinning us, sharing our burden. On that occasion, we came out of the church actually smiling. Thankfully, we hadn't quite forgotten how. We would soon adopt those two colours in our campaign to find our daughter. That first Sunday saw two further arrivals in lieu. My childhood friends Michelle and Nikki. Both wanted to be with me, and both were naturally very upset for Madeline and for me. Michelle, seeing my pain, struggled to contain her own emotions and needed support herself. Nikki's empathy manifested itself in a more practical way. She was more likely to jump up and ask what she could do. Perhaps that was her way of coping. It was good to have them both there, even if it was just to hold them or be held by them when I needed it. So grateful were we to have our nearest and dearest around us. We failed to notice that our ballooning party of supporters was becoming unwieldy. It took Alan Pike, who was keeping a watchful eye on us and our family and friends, to gently draw our attention to this situation. Alan was great at seeing and anticipating difficulties and tackling them before they got out of hand. Everyone had felt helpless at home and had rushed out to Portugal to take care of us and to do what they could do to find Madeline. When they arrived, to their dismay, they felt just as helpless, perhaps more so, having made the trip in hope of achieving something, only to discover it was not within their power in lieu any more than it had been in the UK. They just wanted to be with us, and we wanted them with us, but the presence of so many loved ones, some of them in almost as bad a state as we were proving counterproductive. Alan pointed out that all our family and friends have their own needs, but that ours, Jerry and mine, had to be paramount, and we scarcely had the emotional resources to prop ourselves up, let alone anyone else. He planted in our minds the idea of reducing the size of our support group. Some people would be better off at home, he said, in their own surroundings and with their own support networks, and would also be better equipped to assist us from there. He felt too that we will function better ourselves within a more streamlined, focused team of helpers. Listening to Alan, it all seemed so obvious, but of course it left us with the problem of deciding who should go and who should remain, not to mention telling them. It was clear that our parents were struggling to cope and would have been more help at home. Johnny too seemed like a fish out of water in Praia da Luz. Michelle was very distressed and had two babies in Liverpool who needed her. After giving the matter some thought, we agreed we'd ask Tricia, Sandy, Michael and Nicky to stay on, but I was dreading raising the issue for fear of offending anyone. When it came to talking about it, however, we discovered that Alan, who had spent time with our friends and family as well as with us, had already broached the subject with them, which made it all much easier for us. Having said that, we ended up getting down to the nitty-gritty rather earlier than anticipated. That Sunday evening, in fact, and not in the way we had planned either. Jerry had gone round to one of the other apartments our party was occupying, where apparently something was said that annoyed him, precipitating the discussion we intended to hold in a rather calmer atmosphere. We can laugh about it now, but at the time, Jerry and I couldn't laugh at anything. After the bombshell had been dropped, Jerry's mum had turned to my mum and said, "Well, Sue, it looks as if we're on the Granny Express home." We also heard that after Jerry's left, there had been a few cracks about Big Brother evictions. However bleak the situation, whenever a room full of Glaswegians and Liverpudlians is gathered together, you can guarantee some gallow humour will break through. Still, a decision had to be made. As it turns out, it was the right one for everyone. As some of our family and friends prepared to return to the UK in a day or so, we were beginning to become aware of the help being offered locally. We had that Sunday morning experienced the warmth and sympathy of the Portuguese community, and soon we'll find some supporters among the British living permanently in Praia da Luz who organised a search of the area around the loo the next morning, Monday the 7th of May. The volunteers were joined by most of our family and friends, keen to do something practical to help while Jerry and I were tied up with Andy Bowers and Alex Woodfall. The remainder of our party, namely my mum and dad, Jerry's mum and Auntie Nora, I'm probably best not describing them as the oldies, walked down to a cafe near the beach. This day provided us with a good example of one of the disadvantages of a large group. Unless it is coordinated with military precision, people do not always know who is doing what, and tasks can slip through the net. When lunchtime came, Jerry and I were in the middle of another meeting when we discovered there was no one around to collect Sean and Amali. We had to interrupt proceedings and go to the toddler club ourselves, phoning round our friends and family en route to try and get somebody who wasn't too far away to come back and give them their lunch. A classic case of too many cooks, or in this instance, not enough. Once we left with our leaner support group, we allocated general roles. Tricia and Nicky took over the childcare, while Sandy and Michael dealt with mail, admin and finances. Tricia and Sandy ended up staying with us for 3 solid months. I don't know what we'd have done without them. It had been suggested that I should record a televised appeal aimed at Madeline's abductor, and this is what we had been discussing that morning with Andy and Alex. I was concerned about how I might come over on film as I was beginning to feel numb, almost detached from everything that was happening. Since this seems worryingly unnatural, both Jerry and I talked it over with Alan Pike. He told us it was a perfectly normal reaction at this stage. It was physically impossible, after all, for me to keep on crying 24 hours a day. I was simply physically and emotionally drained. We both were. In fact, it will soon be advised by the British police experts to try to stay as calm as possible and not to show any emotion in public. So it was probably not a bad thing that my feelings seemed to be temporarily on holiday that day. The thinking behind the advice was that Madeline's abductor might get some kind of a fatal kick out of my distress and perhaps change his behaviour in some way. Of course, we were terrified by the implications of this theory. It meant that quite natural actions or expressions of emotion caught on camera could potentially jeopardise Madeline's safety. Alex and Andy had arranged for the appeal to be handled on a pool basis, which meant that one company, in this instance the BBC, would be chosen to record it and they would then distribute the film to all the other media outlets. This was a system we would use often because, as well as significantly reducing the time we would use, because otherwise we had spent recording separate statements and interviews or facing a barrage of cameras and microphones. It involved dealing with only one reporter and one cameraman, which made the whole experience less intimidating. Nevertheless, shooting the appeal was totally unfamiliar territory for me. I was very anxious, mainly because I was so aware of how important the way I delivered this message would be, but also because I found it difficult and unnatural to talk into a camera lens as if it were a person. Andy Bowes had proposed delivering part of my appeal in Portuguese, which I did. Jerry sat beside me with a reassuring arm around me. Madeline is beautiful, bright, funny, and caring little girl. She is so special. Please, please do not hurt her. Please don't scare her. Please tell us where to find her, or put her in a place of safety, and let somebody know where she is. We beg you to let Madeline come home. We need our Madeline. Sean and Marley need Madeline, and Madeline needs us. Please give our little girl back. I was hugely relieved when it was over. My numbness was evidently visible to my closest friends. One later commented that she wondered if I'd been given something to sedate me. I hadn't. In fact, I hadn't taken anything to help me through this ordeal since Madeline had gone missing. I didn't want to. I felt I needed to be constantly alert, sharp, and focused. Though initially, God knows, I was nothing of the kind. Drugs or no drugs. In any case, there was no magic pill that can dull pain like this. Around tea time, Father Z turned up with 20 or more local people to say a decade of the rosary with us and our family. A decade is one Our Father and followed by 10 Hail Marys and a glory be to God. At Mass the day before, we had been aware of him announcing a possible gathering for the rosary, but the details had been a little confusing, so their arrival at our apartment was a pleasant surprise. It was an amazing experience. Mothers and their children hugged and held us, placed rosary beads in our hands, and spontaneously offered prayers out loud for Madeline and for us. There were many tears, but the warmth of our new friends helped to sustain us. They left giving us heart with those three increasingly familiar words. Father Say's mother, now in her 80s, took my hand, looked into my eyes and said, simply, be patient. British Consul Bill Henderson and Ambassador John Buck were visiting us on a fairly regular basis, and we were seeing Leicestershire FLOs every day. The flow of information, however, was slow and limited. The Portuguese police were divulging very little to the British police, and vetoing many of their suggestions, bringing out specialist dogs, for example, or staging a reconstruction. What was forthcoming, particularly in terms of the quality and depth of the investigation, would become increasingly concerning to us. Grounds for elimination, for instance, often seemed very flimsy. I remember Jerry and me exchanging quizzical looks after the FLOs tried to explain how one couple had been ruled out of the inquiry. When we asked them if they were comfortable with the decision, there was an awkward pause before they replied, "No, not really." That Monday evening, completely exasperated, we lost it with the liaison officers. Within a few seconds of arriving, they were telling us, "We've had a very frustrating day. It's transpired that they had to spend the whole day without an interpreter. In other words, it had been a complete waste of time." We were raging. "Why did you have to spend the whole day without an interpreter? If you haven't got one, then get one. This is our daughter's life, for Christ's sake. We don't have days to waste, and she certainly doesn't. And if you can't get one, then let us get one, and we will." I couldn't believe it. A couple of days later, the FLO's efforts were bolstered by the arrival from the UK specialist from the Child Exploitation and Online Protection Centre. The director of the Forensic Psychology Unit, who was a detective superintendent and a social worker, came to see us to outline their current lines of inquiry. In the weeks ahead, the input of the UK experts would encourage us to feel more optimistic than the investigation was gaining momentum. This initial discussion, though, was unsettling, focused as it was on the typical profile of a paedophile. All I could think of, not Madeline. Please, not Madeline. Okay, guys, so that's it. We're on to number 8 now. Next time, which will be tomorrow. I hope it was okay and you could hear it clear. I'm as dry as a bone and I'm going to have a swig. And I hope you haven't fell asleep. I think they all fell asleep. Oh, Pink. Do you know what? I wish I had one of them voices. You know, you hear them, like you say, you talk about these people telling stories, and some you just can't bear to listen to, and some you can think, yeah, I can sit and listen to that. But you know what? Thanks for bearing with me, you and Lizzo. Is lunch lady here? Or is she gone? Oh, I've only got 3. Oh, Al's been in. He's at the side of me, he's got his earphones on. So it just shows you, doesn't it, eh? Nothing was getting done. Terrible that. Now we were getting told here that the people in Portugal were disgusted in them. They were saying they weren't being nice with them and stuff like that. Now it just shows you they were being lovely to them. See, you just don't hear the truth. Oh, thanks, girls. So let's see how much is left now, because I'm on number 8. God, there's probably about 82. Hold on, let's see how long. There's all pictures and half of it as well, though. But we have still got loads to go. Yeah, we've got loads. We're only a quarter through. I'll be still here at Christmas. I will. I'll be still here at Christmas 2025. Oh my God, I tell you. Oh, listen, thanks very much. I can read another 15 or half an hour, you know, because I'm not going up till about 10:15, but if you think that's enough, that's fine by me. Oh, listen, must be hard to the language barrier for it. It's hard for me as well. I'm missing words out in saying Praia blah, blah, and I'm like, just miss that and see if you can make it sound something just across the way. It's awful. I can't read all that. I try to, but it just make it worse. So if I can skip it, I'll skip it. Listen, did you hear me with the way? Oh, it's awful. It's awful. I'll tell you. I knew I was going to get harder, and it's going to get harder now because because they're involved in all these police and that now. So, it's going to get worse. All the foreign words. I said to Alec, I'm dreading getting to that bit. I'll be missing pages out. You won't know what's happened. We should have them, Lisa. Stop it, good, yeah. Have you ever heard someone trying to say something and you're trying to say it with them? Oh, it is. It's dead hard. It's dead hard. I'm going to have to take pictures and put them on the screen and say, tell me what that says. You should have an orgy. Oh, God, you're joking, aren't you? Oh, Pinker went on there last night, right? And it said, you can try as a sample. But there was I didn't see any free ones. It just said you can have free books on a so many day trial and all that, but I thought, I won't do that. And the reason I won't do it is I won't remember. And I'll be getting charged and I won't know. And right now I couldn't afford that, to be getting charged and not knowing. Hello, dear. How are you? Jumped out of the wait, oh, Leanie. I'm getting to the worst part. It's all getting fun. It's all what is it? Portuguese now, all Portuguese words and names of people and names of streets. And I'm just missing them all out. I'm probably not making sense. Lizzo's been sniggering and laughing. Tissering. I should say, not sniggering. Tissering. Oh, do you know what? I'm covered in paint and I've only held a paintbrush. Can you believe it? I'm good, y'all. Y'all. We've had terrible technical difficulties tonight. It goes on. The earbuds are crackling. So put the other ones in. They were crackling. Then the phone was crackling and I thought, oh my God. So then I never had no audio. So then I had to go out and come back in. Oh, it was awful. Pink, I am going to have to send you a photo of my alarms. You wouldn't believe it. Honest to God. I've got alarm for wearing, alarm for fleeing, alarm to go and see the dietitian, alarm to put the patch on. I've got to put a patch on twice a week. Alarm to go and see this consultant. Alarm to go and see that. I've just got alarms all my life. It's going off by the minutes. I do that with American words. Oh, I do with my English words. It's terrible. I've never missed so many words out. I'm probably reading a whole page and nothing makes sense because I'm missing all the words out. Instead of trying, I look at them and I think, oh yeah, go on, I'll have a go with that. But then when I have a go, it doesn't sound Portuguese at all. It's like a Portuguese Liverpool accent. And I couldn't even say the name of that church. So we just said the church. Oh, Maggie, I woke up so last night, absolutely horrid. I guess the hot flashes are starting on me. Oh, lunchy. Let me tell you, I wake up to turn over in bed and I can't turn over because I'm stuck to the sheets. I swear down on my life on a plane, I'm stuck to the sheets. My thigh is stuck. And I'm trying. Do you know what I have to do? I have to bounce on my side. And when I get a bounce and I go up in the air a bit, I do a twist. It's the only way I can budge myself off the sheets. I'm literally stuck to it. Telling you. And then patches not doing a bit of good for that anyway. But I'm only keeping them on because they're good for your bones in menopause. Because your bones become more brittle, don't they? Because if mine become any more brittle, oh, God help me. Yeah, that's it. That's it. It all runs together. Hello, Wild Angel. Good to see you, love. How are you? Oh, God. That's funny. That's spot on. When you're on the spot, it's hard to read. All the words run together. Even if you know the words, it's all jumbled in your head. I just look and think, oh, yeah, I think I'll be all right reading that. And then it just balls it up. Completely balls it up. It doesn't sound not unlike it. And I just imagine a Portuguese person listening to me screaming, laughing their heads off. Because if someone was trying to do scouts and was ballsing it up as they were reading something, I would be laughing. We're all going through the changes together. It's all over, Lee. All over. Nervous going solo on a cruise, couldn't find anyone to go. Oh, you know what? You know, if I wasn't scared to fly over to America, I'd have flew over and gone with you. I would. I swear I'd have gone with you. Because I've got no babies here. I'd have gone over with you, but I just could not get on the plane all the way there. And then I've got to come all the way back. Oh, couldn't. I know. I know. But you know what? I think of that, Lizzo, and I always think, if I had the chance and I came back again, what would I want to come back as? And I'd still choose to be a woman. I think it's harder to be a man. Do you agree with me or not? I know you'll have a ball, because you're outgoing. You're like me, you'll talk to anyone. And just weigh them up when you see all the women's in a group. Just weigh them up and just start like sort of being in the same place at the same time. And just reading a magazine, by the way. Just make sure it's not upside down. And Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. You'll be alright. I tell you, you'll make lifelong friends on that cruise. It's all over. I'm made up. It's Jeff the Lunas who oh God, what's that? The Lunas. My eyes gone terrible since reading. It's on this last night. Oh, it's the eclipse. It's the eclipse. Don't tell Leanie. She'd be made up. Do I chuffagly? They don't have parents give birth to. No, I still don't want to be one. I don't want to be a man. So you're gonna come back as a fella then? Oh no, I'm coming back as a woman, definitely. Don't think I'd like to be a man. Don't think I could cope to be a man. Want to be a woman, defo. Because I know you have your kids, but your kids are close with you. The fellas go to work. I'd rather have my kids. Mind you, now sometimes wish I was going to work. Oh God, sometimes I wanted to run out the door and go for a walk and never come back for about 3 days. No, me neither, lunchy. No chance. No chance. Well, listen to this, right, so my wall outside has got coping stone at the top, like it goes to a point on the very top of the wall, just like sets the top of the wall off. And I wanted it painted black, just the top. So Alec painted it all black, it needed a second coat. And no, Nora, my neighbour, well, her husband, she's gone away for a few days, so as soon as she goes away, he's up the ladder painting. So he's painted all the house, he's scrubbed the bins, he's hoovered the cars, he's scrubbed the step, he's washed the windows, he's done everything. He keeps coming out looking for jobs. So I goes over, I went, listen, I'm not being funny, and please tell me now, are you looking for something to do? He went, why? I went, well, see the top of the wall? He went, yeah. I went, do you fancy giving it a second coat for us? He went, yeah, not a problem. I said, I'll buy you something, I'll buy you a drink. Don't you dare. No, I'll do that. Oh, guys, I'm sorry I asked him. He smudged You know where you're supposed to keep it right into the line, into the mortar, the next bit of mortar? No. It's so fucking smudged. It's dripping. Oh God, I was dying to cry. But I had to be dead grateful when I was going, oh, thank you, it's lovely right now. If you need anything else doing, let me know. I said, oh, I will. Thanks so much. Guys, I've got to carry on down the next brick. Got to go one brick under the coping stone. It looks like I've asked the baby next door to paint the top of the wall, and I feel terrible saying that. Well, if I'm in heaven, in my mansion, can you lot have your mansions on adjoining clouds? Oh yeah. Oh, I'm not having anyone next door to me. I've lived with that all my life. I'm gonna have a big cloud, which is the house is gonna be on, and I'm gonna have all little dots of clouds around, little clouds around, and I'm gonna have a little house on there for me son. Yeah. So he's just over the road. And then I'm going to have like lovely kennels and I'm going to mind all your animals. I'm going to mind all the animals while you go away on vacation or on your holiday. I'm going to mind them. You'll know they'll be safe because they'll all be in with me. They're only staying there every day to run round and play. They're coming in with me every night to jump in the bed. Honest to God, Lunchy, swear down. You just swore I'd ask the baby next door to paint the wall. I'm gonna have to take a picture tomorrow and show you. It's fucking smudged all down the brick. And I went like that. Oh look, it's dripping down the wall. Big drip of paint going right down the wall on the normal brick that I didn't want painting. He went, oh, it's alright, don't worry. Got the paintbrush and smudged it all in. Just paint it. So I've got like this big patch going down the wall. I went, oh my God. Then the other neighbours come walking up the street and I could see her face. I went, Kathy, she went, oh, what the hell's gone on? What's gone on with the wall? And I told her, she went, oh, you can't leave it like that. I said, I'm not leaving it like that. She said, it looks like she's done it, pointing to the baby next door. I said, I never said that. I was trying to cry. Alec went, that'll show you in it interfering. I said, well, I thought I was helping you. Say if you're having something to do again at the weekend. He went, well, just do me a favour. Just leave it alone and don't touch it. I said, oh, I won't.
You said you were going to fucking paint it,
No, you told me I can't. Oh, but you
No, if you want to fucking paint it,
oh, I'm painting it.
all the fucking brushes are there.
Stop swearing. You don't usually swear. Do you think it... Listen, so am I going to paint it now?
If you want to paint it, you can paint it.
Change your tune. I'll ask Kat. I'll say to Kathy, hey Kathy, here a minute. Just be my little did he tell me leave it alone? And I said, well, can I just hang on? And I said, can you just let me do that? And you went, do me? No, you told me not to in front of Kathy. And now, because Kathy's not here, you're like, go on, get fucking outside and paint it.
Stop swearing.
Dickheads.
Yeah, come on. I've got a head torch up there.
Don't fucking... You go up the stairs, get your little shower, scrub your balls, whatever, and leave me alone. I am going to sort that outside. And if I fucking smudge, I'll wash it off. How about that? It come off that hand, you know, but it hasn't fucking come off that hand. I only held the paintbrush.
It will, but once it's wet,
Well, why won't it come off the walls like that?
because it's meant to go on masonry and not come off.
Oh, let you off. Made up for you. I know, doesn't it? Me and Alec want to make you get married all over again. Uh-huh. Oh my God. He did, you know, today when the neighbour was there, he went, don't touch the wall. I went, can I just do the edging just to tidy? Do not touch the wall. I've told you, look what fucking happened already, interfering. I went, alright, keep your ear on. Soon as the neighbour's out of sight, you know, like he's telling me, sit back, he'll do it. He's just said there, didn't he? You can do doing it tomorrow. I thought, well, fuck you. See that? Fucking hell. Oh my god, my hands steady, I'll be worse. Gonna have to get you on a live with me doing it. Made up, yeah. Even Lee said she's made up for you. She's made up more for you. How about that? He said, ram it, Lee. She said, wild lemons are 2 a penny. Oh my god, honest to God, this can only happen to me. He's fucking done his whole house, this man, right? And there's not a smudge to his name. And then he said to me, listen to this, he called me over, he went, do you want to just have a look? He said, I think you'd be better doing all the wall black, you know. I said, oh no, I don't want it all black, you've got to keep it up and it looks tacky if it doesn't get done. And he went, well, what it is, he said, I've smudged just a little bit going over. I went, oh, don't worry about it, a little smudge. It won't matter, you won't notice it. Oh, guys, I walked out that door and them smudges look like, you know, when the kids, when they're about 2 in the nursery or the kindergarten, whatever you call it, and they do the first picture for the mother and they do the finger paints. That's what it looks like. Looks like the kids from the nursery have been on my wall. Honest to God, and the drips going down the wall. Oh yeah, I know what he did. I got Indian stone, right? And he went, oh yeah, there's a bit of a paint there. I dropped on the floor, I went white. And I looked, and as he said that, fucking paintbrush dropped. Splattered all of paint all over the place. He went, hang on a minute, don't worry, I'll sort that. He ran to his house, got a rag and tapes, no paint remover, and he come and he went, shh, thrown it all over the floor and started scrubbing it. I went, oh my God, we've got a sealer over the stone. The fucking sealer will be up now. I thought, so I'm going to tell Alec. Oh, everything I do to try and save Alec a job, I end up making worse. And he said to me, now look, as I went, oh, thanks very much. As he was getting out the gate, I couldn't wait to shut the gate. I'm walking towards the gate. He's walking towards me. I thought, no, you fucking stay out the gate. And I'm pushing the gate, guys. And I did feel really grateful for all of it, except the smudge. And he went, now look, he said, if you need it, just let me know. He said he enjoyed doing that. And I went, I'm looking around me thinking, oh God, I feel terrible. Maybe we'll let him paint the fence. You can't go wrong on the fence, can he? Or can he? You want to see the smudging up the walls and everywhere? Oh, it's terrible. No, not Alec. Alec was the painter. He painted the first coat last week. But I want it done while the weather's okay. Because we've got nice weather this week. After that, we'll be in snow. So, because the fella next door but one, the old fella's always up on a ladder painting. He's always painting, scrubbing the bins, scrubbing the car, hosing down the walls, fucking polishing the walls, the bricks. I'm not messing. He just doesn't stop. So I thought, oh, he must be bored. His wife's gone away for a week. He's bored shitless. So he said to me, I'm doing it all while she's away. He said, she won't let me up this ladder. And it's the last time I'm doing it. So he's been up and he's painted the back and the front of the house. She only went on Monday. Anyway, I asked him, can you do us a favour? If you're bored and you've got nothing to do, please tell me now. Honestly. He went, no, he said, I'll do it for you. Just get the stuff out and I'll do it. I said, okay. So I got my phone to Alec because he's in work in the shed. I said, get the stuff, Paddy's going to do it. Because save you at the weekend. He went, oh, I said, oh, he's going to do it. He went, oh, all right. Worst mistake of my life. Worst mistake of my life. Oh, God, think about it, have a drink. It's hard work being a reader, isn't it? Narrator. Hey, Leanie, do you like audiobooks? Pink was saying they read all audiobooks here in Lunchy. And telling me where you can go and get them. Went to look on the library, but I was knackered last night. Oh, what are you doing, Jess? Are you waiting for a biscuit? Is that what you want? Do you want a biscuit? Okay, we'll get one now, Gail. We'll get one. Oh, she's lying with her paws right over the edge of the couch, and she comes closer and closer, so her feet are near touching the floor. She's that far over. Audible, yeah, that's what it's called, audible. Do you know what? As I said, I love finding the cases where I'm not going to have to skip on YouTube, because they want you to pay, don't they, to thingy the adverts. But listen to this. Go on. Oh, hang on. What's it called? Oh, God. Something Smart Tube. But it doesn't work on my old phone, on this phone. It doesn't work on this phone. It only works on my old phone. It's called, what did I just say then? Smart Tube. If you go on that, it's like YouTube. It's Smart Tube, and it doesn't have adverts. Check it out. So if you want to watch something through the night or listen to it while you're in bed, Smart Tube. And get it while you can, because they'll probably take this leg off, because I've told you. Is it really okay listening to me reading, really? I just thought you were being nice. Especially amongst all the words up. I wish I had a proper good headset. You know, that makes you sound dead good. Oh, by the way, me free stuff come off Temu. I'm made up. So I got 2 sarongs, cotton sarongs, a swimming costume, it's lovely, and a short sleeve, little like pasty type white cardigan. So I'm made up, free. Oh, thanks. Shit, be right back. Oh, she's left the pan on. She's left the pan on, I bet, yeah. Do you know what? Is how organised I'm not. I even had to plug my phone in at the beginning because the battery was dying and didn't even notice, because I was doing thumbnails, and when you do the thumbnails, it eats the batteries. So that's why I usually do my thumbnails of a morning or of a night when I'm plugged in at the side of the bed. Oh, we did that bad. Oh my God, Lunchy. I was made up with, honest to God, with these freebies, because they sent me the wrong cardigan last time. Big thick cardigan and does, shut up, putting that on. So that got sent back. Then they sent me shoes, flip flops and sliders that were 4, hang on, 2, 3, 4, 4 sizes too big for me. I looked at them, I thought, Chanel, they're the biggest the box they come in. They were massive. I thought if I made the mistake, because with my brain being the way it is, it's quite possible. But I went in and I looked and it didn't, it was them. So they got sent back. I'm just waiting for other freebies now. I forgot what I've got. I didn't think I'd get them. What are they, me freebies? Were they me 50% off? Oh, they're probably me 50% off. Yeah, I think they were me 50% off. But I'm still made up with what I got them for. I think it came to 13 or £15 for what I've got on buzzing made up. Sequin sacks, I tell you. I bought 4 dresses, still don't have one. I would have to stuff a pillow in the top of these. I don't have the boobs for it. I'm going to go on and look for a dress and I'm going to say, but you know what? Listen, Lunchy, did you look at, I find if you order anything and you just go by their sizes, you're doomed. You've got to look at the reviews. Because on ours, what I see, it says, some people will say, go 2 sizes smaller or bigger or get 1 size down. I always go by them because otherwise I'm sending things back by the minutes. Yeah, get a chicken fillet, push up bra, or just buy the chicken fillets and throw them in your bra. Just put a little slit, get a padded bra, put a little slit in it, take the padded out and throw the chicken fillets in. Can you buy not real chicken fillets, like the gel boobs? Can you buy them there? They look like a chicken fillet. Oh God. Have you been watching I think it started last night, Married at First Sight, UK Married at First Sight. Did you start watching it last night, girls? So what do you think? If you like the dress, but it's too big at the top, could you go? I mean, how much too big would it be 2 sizes down? It won't be on your telly, Lunchy. It's only on the UK TV. Pink doesn't watch it anyway. I only watch the reality TV and watch Corrie catch up of a Saturday afternoon while I'm eating myself to death. Oh, I watch all of them. Watch all of them. The last Australian I watched, it was brilliant. It was murder. I loved it. Yeah, try and go 2 sizes down, and you might just maybe it might need a little tuck under your arms or something. Oh, you're gonna have to send me the picture of it, and then send me the picture of it when you received it. Oh, there's not a way, see, but you're doing the right thing, ordering it early. What's that? If any, if any you like that is, yeah, yeah. Just get it, order it in 2 sizes down or 1 size down, because sometimes the 1 size down is a big jump, and you think, fucking hell, 1 size down, it's like just about bit me. I think that my mother-in-law could sew it. She's doing my daughter's. Oh, well, there you go. There you go. Just see if she can do that. She'd have to take the sequins off, wouldn't she, and then put them back on. God, I'd hate to do sequins on a dress. Couldn't go. Post them on your community or shorts. Yes, if there's one you really like, get it taken in. Yeah, I would, definitely. 'Cause it saves you a bomb, doesn't it? I'm gonna look on there now for a dress for you. I'm gonna say, oh, Lunchy, that. Imagine if the same one. Do you want a nice... So did you put in glittery dress? Because I don't ever see anything like that. So did you like bridal wear and mother of the bride stuffs and things like that? Hang on, let me get this. Have a look. My eyes are going cockeyed. Hello, 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 hello. So does the top look like me on there? Is that what your top looks like? Oh God! Listen, let me just add this: the Madeline Soto. Oh my God! I'm listening to the mother's interview, and they're saying, "What do you think happens?" So, what do you think? So she went. This is exactly how she said it. Well, if I was going to write a body and I was going to dump it, so he said, "Well, where do you think that Madeline is?" So she went, "Well, so no, maybe if he's." She was just talking about Madeline like it was about a movie she was watching. There was no, it was so distant. Was never a name spoken, and I was broken arse. I thought, oh my God, you should have heard the police officer. He said, "You have prioritised Stefan over Madeline every time." No, no, she said, I haven't, I just can't get it in my head. I can't think it in my head at all. I feel it in my body, not my brain. I feel it in my body. She's still alive. And then he said, so, what do you think happened that night? And she says, I think he killed her. So I'm thinking, hang on, you've just said you feel it in your body, she's still alive. And in the next breath, you're saying, I think he killed her. Oh, so do I, lunch. So do I. I've just nearly choked to death. Oh my God. My face is blue. Oh, I've just nearly choked myself to death. Oh, now I'm roasting. Oh, why don't you look like that for you? He looks like fucking Rocky Balboa. It's gonna sort of just get out the shower. That needs to go on. You may as well take it because I'm getting off this. Oh, what happened there? Did you hear that? Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, Lunchy, that's what she said. That's exactly what she said to the police. Well, she said, I just feel it in my body. My mum always said she felt it in her body. I feel it in my body that she's still alive. Not Madeline, she's still alive. And he said, well, what do you think happened? What do you think that that on that Monday night? She said, I think he killed her. How do you think he killed her? I think he's overdosed her, which that's what they think, and he's choked her. That's what she said. Not a tea to be sort anything. And then he was losing it. He starts losing it with her. Then he says, "You, oh, honest to God, have you seen it?" I'm trying to think what other stupid things she was saying. He was saying, "Just think of anything weird that you noticed." So she said, well, he came in and he told me he'd been going out and come back weird. Then he said his tyre, he got a flat tyre. So the fella said, did you at any point go out and check the tyre that he was telling you the truth? She went, no. He went, why? She went, because I trust him. He said, you trust him? He robbed his own family. He lies upon lies. And he was going on and on and on, but you trust him? She went, yeah, but that's them, not me. And he went, you're just oblivious. And he said, this is what he said. He flipped on and he went, I showed you a picture of your daughter with his, can I say the words on here? His thingy, with his doodah in your daughter's mouth. I showed you the picture. He said, what did you do? You went to Stefan's parents' house and you told them to get him a solicitor. She went, yeah, it just didn't sink in. It just didn't sink in. He said, it didn't sink in that you'd seen he'd raped your daughter. Oh, he said, I showed you. He said, you seen the picture and but your first thought, again, your first priority was Stefan. She's just sitting there and I thought, oh my God, I'm up to the part now where he's losing his shit with her. He's completely losing his shit with her. Now, they find the body, as they're interviewing her, they find Madeline's body. And what it was, they did a press conference and someone from that area where she was found seeing the press conference and phoned the police and said, listen, I seen a man. He was changing the tyre of his car. I don't know if it's anything, of any importance, but I'm just letting you know. And that's when they found Madeline. Isn't it? But he went back. He went back at 3 o'clock in the morning. So they're saying to her, what do you think he went back for at 3 o'clock in the morning? She went, maybe to move the body. Oh, I was like, oh my God. And he went, well, for what reason? She went, well, I don't know. I'm just thinking what reason he's gone back. And so she said, he said, what did he do when he come back that day? She said, well, he was just acting normal. And he was sitting on the computer. And he never got changed, she said, because he comes and he doesn't bring a change of clothes with him. And he just wears the same outfit day after day. I thought, oh my God, honest to God, swear down. Pink, it's on Grizzly True Crime. If you go on a playlist, it's all on there. And look for Jen Soto's interview. It's the last one. Just have a look at that. Honest to God, you won't believe it. Can't wait to finish that to go on his interview then. Jersey ticket. She's saying she just couldn't believe. Oh, now he's saying you're all for him and you're this and you're prioritising him. I don't care what happens to him. I don't care what happens to him in prison. She said, well, why? When I showed you the picture of what he did to your daughter, are you going to his parents and telling them to get him a lawyer? Honest to God, Lena, you've got to watch it to believe it. It's unreal. I've watched it from day one. It is unreal. She's saying she just hear what happens to him now. And the cop is honestly losing shit with her now. He just will not give it a minute. Won't give it a minute. Yeah, it knocks me sick as well. Hiya, Teresa. Good to see you, love. Yeah, so I'm going to get into bed and watch the rest of that. I think I've got about 10 minutes more to watch. Then I'm going to put his Stefan Staines on then and watch the Jersey fuck. He's the policeman said, the cop said, she said, well, what has he said? He said, you stop asking us what he said or what they've done or what they've said. He said, I'm asking you to tell me about any unusual behaviour with him. And he said, because he said he's not helping us. He's not being, what is it? What's the word? He's not being, what's the word? Oh, God. He's not, what's the word when you're not helping the cops out? He's being, no, just, no. Oh, anyway, he's not helping them. Yeah, honestly, she's absolutely, I used to think, honestly, until I've seen this interview, she's dense, there's no doubt about it. She's that dense, right, and that uninterested in anything else, only him. She doesn't see what the fuck is going on under her nose. And that, when I heard and seen her reaction to him saying, you've seen that picture of your child, him doing whatever to your child, and your first reaction, he said, was to run and help him. He said he just couldn't get over it. And she's like, no. And then at some point she goes, I can't get over it. But anyway, what I was saying was, if she just goes normal, like that, just like that, goes normal. Cooperating, that's it, Lunchy, cooperating. He's not cooperating. So I hope to God, right, I hope to God that this goes to trial. I know it all the details comes out, and it's not very nice for parents to hear. But now, because of the way she's reacted, she needs a wake-up call, in my opinion, of what her kid's gone through since the age of 8 years old. And he's got every single seedy detail of what he's done to that child. Oh, and she even knew he'd given her extra when he knew she didn't need it, ADHD medication. So she's saying, he's overdosed, and just because they said, do you think he could have given her more? And she went, well, yeah, because he had access to it. And because one time he said, I'll give her some more even though she didn't need it. Just unbelievable. And on these pictures in his phone of what he's doing to this little girl from the age of 8 years old, she appears to be asleep on most of them. So it looks like that's what he was doing. So what her mother wouldn't allow her boyfriend to do to her, he was doing to a little girl. That's all I'll say. Yeah. Terrible. You just can't. Like I thought, oh no, there's no way, people, there's no way that she's not going to be gutted, and she, like, I really thought, I don't think she's involved. I think she is dense, but I think if she knows anything being that in that way involved, it wouldn't surprise me, knowing that now she's totally. It's just hearing that she's seen that picture and she still prioritised him. It's knocked me sick. So anything's capable. Anything's possible, I mean. Anything. Do you think, Leanie? But I don't want that. I want him to have to go to trial and then let him get it then. Because she needs a wake up call. But you know what? I was watching the other channel of the ex-cop and he said it doesn't mean that she's got off. Because there's no charges made yet, it doesn't mean she's got off. So she could very well get done, because that's child neglect, surely. If she's not looked out for that kid, in any way, and it's going on. She must have seen, even if she was to turn around and say, now, you know what, I'm thinking of things, and now it's making me question things. And he said, you don't question him over anything, do you? She went, I just let him do what he wants. And he went, what do you mean by do what he wants? She went, if he wants to go to the shop, he goes to the shop. If he wants to go, I don't stop him doing anything. Evidently, yeah. So she said, so she was in the trunk of the car. He said, you've seen the pictures of your daughter unalive, strapped into the front seat. We showed you the pictures that the cameras, of course. And she said, but she might, I can't believe she's unalived. I can't believe it. My body, it just doesn't feel. He went, actually, you've seen the pictures. So in other words, you must be able to know by them pictures that kid is not with us. I want to come with you. I want to come with you. I want to go in that trial. I want to go. I've never been so obsessed with something in all my life. It's not I'm sick or anything. I just can't wait. I just can't wait to just find out what he's done to this kid. But it won't reveal, Leanie, the autopsy or the if she had she died through either overdosed or stuff like what is it, toxicology. It won't let you see the toxicology reports or anything because she's a minor. So it's speculation that he strangled her. And they're saying, people were thinking, was she pregnant? Was she blah, blah, blah? But what now they reckon is she had a little crush on a boy in school. And they think that because he told Jen, the mother, that she had a crush on a boy. So obviously she told him. So they're thinking, was he jealous? Or worried that she might tell the boy, when they talk about their experiences or what they've done at some point, is he going to be named? He's got stuff in the lockup as well. I'm dying to know what was there when they went and looked. Oh God, it's just, I can't stand it. Yeah, because she's a minor, you can't find out. Will it? Will it say that in the course? Oh, I didn't think it would, Lee. Yeah. Oh God, you were doing so good with that case, Leanie. You were doing so good because I didn't really know much about that. Well, I'd known about it. I hadn't got into the case because I was watching something else at the time. But when I was going to your channels and you started talking with that fella, was it Frank or someone? And I was listening about it and all that, it was getting dead interesting. Oh, so it's going to be said in course. Oh, isn't it awful? Oh yeah, Leanie as well. So when the kid got cremated, she asked the lawyer to give the kid's cremated remains to the biological father. Just left them with a lawyer to give to the biological father. Can you believe it? Poor Madeline. She was so failed. And there was photos on his phone that was put under the bathroom door and taken of the people that were living there. She had lodgers and he'd taken pictures of the girls. Isn't he just a little sicko? You want to see him? Oh! Anyway, I'm going to off ski now. He is a pig. My eyes are fighting for the corners. Lizzo, Pink, Lunchy, thanks so much for staying with me, girls. I love you all dearly and thanks so much, and it'll be continued tomorrow. Gonna have to get Alec to sort this audio. Leanie, thanks for coming in, girl, and having a little chat. I don't know whether you were there at all listening, Lee, when it was all crackling and all that, or you'd just come in when I just used my phone. Are you crazy? Good to see you, love. It's my bedtime now. I'm going to sleep. My eyes are burning. I feel like they're being pepper sprayed. Oh, you're so welcome, girls. Thank yous for coming in again. I'll be here tomorrow night. Mary Jo will be listening after, because it's not your time now, is it? God, my eyes seem half go sore when I try to read the chat after reading. Crazy that, isn't it? Oh. Oh. Good night, Crazy Hillbilly. Good to see ya. Speak to you soon. Good night and God bless Lizzo, Pink, Lunchy, and Leanie. Was on the bushes. You were on them, Leanie, or in them? Good night and God bless everyone. And yeah, the bushwhacker. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Good night and God bless all. Mwah.
Life is hard and life is wild. It can be sad or full of smiles. And every once in a while you need a break from the mundane. So come back to see your friend, or she'll wonder where you've been. According to Leanie, she appreciates you and all that you do. You need her, but she needs you, and that's the beauty of according to Leanie. So thank you for your time. You are a friend of mine. I'll be happy to see you again on the next According to Leanie. Be good or be good at it. Until next time, love Leanie, love Leanie, love Leanie. Next time, love Leanie, love Leanie. Life is hard and life is wild. It can be sad or full of smiles. And every once in a while you need a break from the mundane. So come back to see your friend, or she'll wonder where you've been. According to Leanie, she appreciates you and all that you do. You need her, she needs you, and that's the beauty of According to Leanie. Be good or be good at it. Until next time, love Leanie, love Leanie, love Leanie.